Stephen, thank you so much for doing this chat with me.
Yeah, Shubed, I'm happy to join in and chat a bit about my experience with Product Manager Blueprint.
Love it. So, Stephen, could you, I mean, to begin with, people who are watching this, could you tell them a bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Stephen Soroosh. I'm a lead product manager for Torqata Data and Analytics, which is an ATD intelligence company. ATD is American Tire Distributors. So we are
Hmm.
the data arm of the largest tire distributor in the US, actually in North America. And so we have a lot of data coming in, and we are building. We have freemium and premium different products that serve different channels within the replacement tire industry, and so that's the business we're in. And I'm over a couple of I've got three different product teams that report to me as a lead PM.
Love it. And Stephen's the automotive guy. He knows everything about automotive, everything there is to know. I know that after talking with you, working with you. So, I want to rewind the clock. So, before you joined Product Leader Blueprint, like what was going on in your career that led you to seek out something? Something you were frustrated with, something you were looking to improve. Just eager to hear about that.
Yeah. So when I joined Product Leader Blueprint, it was fall of 2021.
Hmm.
I had joined Torqata about a year previous to that. Really, it was a spring of 2020. And when I came in, we were very much in kind of scrappy startup mode.
Hmm.
ATD had spun us off, and I was, working on rationalizing, 20 different analytics products. And I was really doing, what I do best. I was, collaborating with ATD stakeholders and with our internal team, and we were, working on a whole bunch of different products. And but as we got into 2021, actually, it was late 2020. We brought in a new head of product, and we really completely changed our whole product management organization. And we got into something that was much more formal. We had, Scrum teams that were formalized, and we started to do PI planning, which is something I'd never done before. And,
Hmm.
suddenly we were using Jira in these new ways that were a lot, had a lot more kind of discipline and around them to kind of help drive agile maturity. And I found myself really feeling, lacking confidence.
Hmm.
I came into a PM role sort of not necessarily in a traditional way. I'm a mechanical engineer. I don't have software development, education and background, but I
Yeah.
founded a tech startup, and I spent 6 years. We raised money, and I built a team, and sort of through that process, I was, of course, the head of product for that company, and I
Yeah.
kind of learned product management sort of the hard way by failing and failing and iterating. And then eventually when I ended up with Torqata, it was very similar, very scrappy. But once we got to a more formalized kind of product organization, I
Hmm.
was just not very confident in my ability as a product manager. And so part of what drew me to the course was, um, I don't know. I was seeking someone to kind of help coach and mentor me, to sort of help me understand what tools do I already have in my tool belt that maybe I don't even know about.
Yeah.
What tools do I need to, get better at? How can I do a better job of sort of influencing, kind of driving decisions? And how can I build confidence in my ability to actually make a career out of being a product manager?
Love it. Love it. And I mean, I one of the things you mentioned, I love people's journey. You started your own company to raise money and all that and then moved into product. So and then you were like sort of looking for, I mean, as much as learning new stuff, you like also want to make sure you're doing things right in some sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted some confirmation that, I'm not crazy, and I'm thinking about things correctly, and as I was kind of getting to know, my new boss, who had come from a very big organization, and he was the head of product there, and they had, thousands of engineers and probably hundreds of PMs.
Mm,
And now we have this really small team. It's like, well, am I, you know, I think I know what a roadmap is, but I'd like to get some confirmation that I'm doing things right as well. That was definitely part of it.
awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me, Stephen, what convinced you to enroll and be part of Product Leader Blueprint?
Yeah. Well, I came across the product multiple times. I think at that time I was actually researching, campers. We were buying a camper, and so I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, and
Mm,
I kept seeing your face, and I'd started looking at other product management courses kind of around the same time.
mm,
And it was all very formal. Oh, you can go to whatever Kellogg University or Cornell or Stanford, and you can get a product manager, certificate or something.
totally.
Um, but I just wanted something that was more personalized than that. I really wanted something where there was going to be a strong coaching element involved.
Hmm.
I wanted something that might be a little bit more personalized rather than just kind of running through a curriculum.
Mm,
And so I came across Product Leader Blueprint a few times, and I kind of started to look into it. And my company does have a very generous education
yeah.
program, and so I was able to apply, those dollars towards Product Leader Blueprint. And so, of course, that certainly helped. But I feel like whether they had provided that money or not, the investment was worthwhile.
Love it.
But I just recognize that I'm probably not going to get what I want out of a course
Hmm.
at a
Yep.
university or even a course on one of these learning platforms. What I need is I need to talk to someone who's been a product leader for years, who's built their career. I need kind of that individual sort of personalized element, which is what I got with you, and what I felt I would get if I joined the program. And of course, right away, I think we had sort of an introductory call,
Yeah.
prior to signing up, and I just felt like, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I need to sort of help um, identify my weaknesses, help identify my strengths, and how do I leverage those. But also how do I maybe do some things to improve or shore up kind of my weaknesses, and also how do I improve just as a person. Um,
Hmm.
and honestly, that was a lot of what I got out of Product Leader Blueprint was really some foundational, just kind of good practices to do as a human.
Love it.
You know, um,
Yeah.
maybe we'll talk about that stuff as we go. But
No, no, that's perfect. And I mean, just as people are watching, I actually did like two separate conversations, just one more like this for somebody else who's gone to PLB, and that's the other thing they said, which is, hey, just like I'm a better person. And I'm like,
hmm
okay, cool. I just love to hear that because you can't fix careers in isolation of the person overall. You can't like just focus on one thing and say I'm going to ignore everything else and this will be perfect. There's so much interrelation between these things.
yeah.
Yeah. So so tell us, okay, so you were in the program. Like, what were some of the initial either victories you got or things that surprised you? Like, talk to us about the first few weeks.
Yeah. Well, so the first few weeks really, really big for me because we were, like I said, we were kind of getting into some like human things, right? It's like, okay, what are you doing every morning, right? Are you journaling? Are you writing down your goals? Are you being positive? Are you, focusing time on positive thinking? Are you establishing like personal habits that are helping you to become just a disciplined person? And I've had those habits in the past, but the previous 3 years or so, my family went through a lot of shifts. We had a child who had a heart defect, and he ended up passing away. And there was we kind of pulled our family up and kind of moved close to a major hospital to kind of care for him. And a lot of different things happened that just really sort of broke me down as a person. And I felt myself feeling like I need to kind of get back to baseline. I need to reestablish my journaling and my spiritual journey. I need to pick up my Bible, and those kinds of things are important for everybody.
Mm,
Um, you've got to have some sort of faith element, or I would encourage that. You should really have some sort of personal element. You should be focusing on self care, and those were all things that just due to my situation had been completely just they were absent due to our circumstances. And what I really needed was help kind of picking those things back up and sort of rebuilding and sort of reestablishing my foundation. And I really felt like I got that with you guys.
love it.
You know, just beginning to be more intentional about my everyday and getting up and reestablishing, those positive habits. That was a victory for me. And I
Mm,
immediately began to feel better about myself. I began to have more confidence. I began to feel more prepared to lead my family, my two young children, and my wife. And so I think that was a very important early victory for me, just beginning to personally reestablish those kind of keystone habits that I've had in the past, but they had been lost. But you guys really helped me to reestablish those. And I've got a lot of work to do still, right? I'm not there yet, but that was a big victory. And then, there's lots of other things, but I think one of the biggest kind of victories as I reflect back was I had been really kind of working for a long time to try to get leadership to recognize the need to formulate a team specifically focused on data cleaning and data management. And it was kind of
Yeah.
happening across different teams. And we were doing okay, but I in my previous startup, I'd had experience with automotive data and I knew how difficult it can be. And so I was working on trying to sort of get buy-in and beginning to get some practices like, communicating like a marketer.
Hmm.
And I really began to like pick up a couple of key things and I began to just emphasize those again and again and again. And actually, one of the senior leaders repeated a phrase that I used, which is, the status quo is our biggest competitor in this industry.
Hmm.
And I knew when that happened, I was going to get there, right?
Really,
Because
yeah.
they just said that, but they said it like it was their own idea, right? And I knew that,
Right.
okay, my ideas have now made the transfer over and other people are thinking of them as their own. And so that was really cool for me. And then I really began to try to use shuttle diplomacy. And I began to sort of go to different stakeholders and just talk about what it would mean to have a data team and what could we do and how would that affect them if we had this capability and how would it improve sort of their team dynamics. And before you know it, I had a lot of people who were kind of telling me in my one-on-ones with them, yes, we need to do this. And then, we had an opportunity to come together as a leadership team and to kind of talk about making some changes. And I was able to present, um, the need to have this team. But because I had already gotten buy-in from all of those different other stakeholders,
Yeah.
it was a non-event. Everyone was like, well, yeah, of course we need to do this. Like, Steve, go hire a PM and let's build a team and let's get it going. And like, I mean, that was awesome because when you have kind of a big thing that you've sort of been fighting for, and it can come down to, well, make a presentation and we're going to decide, based on your presentation. I mean, that's like a high pressure moment. And with the shuttle diplomacy, I didn't have any of that. I did all the groundwork sort of beforehand to where when we were in our leadership meeting and I was presenting what I felt we needed to do, the decision had already been made, right? Each
And
individual had already decided that we needed to do it, and it was just a matter of everybody saying yes. So powerful. I mean, just so powerful
and you
to
hit
me.
such a key point there, because this is a very common myth, and a lot of PMs come to me and say, "Sure, but I want to improve my presentation skills." The outcome, what they want, is basically what you did was get something major approved, and the way is like, "Oh, I'm going to go into a presentation. I'm going to wow everyone, and everything will be cool." And you hit the nail on the head of like rethinking what you actually need to do to make that happen.
Yeah.
Love it. So, yet, Stephen, tell us about like what were like some of the victories that you got from the program. Just boast and what you took away from it.
Yeah. Well, big victory is I got promoted from a senior PM to a lead PM during the course of the program. And that was huge. Obviously more responsibility, better compensation. I mean, that was a big deal. And I don't know that I would have gotten that promotion had I not been going through PLB because I was beginning to like lean in more to my 10x tasks. And
Hmm.
finding out what are your 10x tasks is part of, it was one of the weeks that we really focused on. And as I began to sort of reflect and understand what am I the best at, really what it was is helping to let, to helping others to be more effective. And
Hmm.
so with my new team, I was able to kind of bring on a PM and get that team going. And I was able to demonstrate to management that I can do this. I can actually get a team going. I can make them effective. And I was still running my other team. And so it became pretty apparent to them that I was ready to be a lead PM and have multiple teams underneath me. And so huge victory. I mean, that alone, more than, was more than worth the investment I made in PLB. Just to be able to actually see like a tangible change in my career path, going from a senior PM to a lead PM. So that was huge. I think other victories, of course, I have a lot more confidence in who I am as a PM, and that even I still don't know how to code. I'm still a mechanical engineer, but I've realized being a product manager, you don't have to be a software engineer.
Mm,
You need to be creative, and you need to be a problem solver, and you need to be able to orchestrate and collaborate and lead. And those are all things that I can do, and that through the course of the class, I've recognized my strengths there, and I've been able to start leveraging them more. I mean, one of the things I mentioned was 10x tasks, and
mm,
actually, I had sort of discussed this a little bit with my boss, and part of putting me in the lead PM role was um, to enable me to focus more on the 10x tasks. So
cool.
rather than spending so much time in Scrum teams and writing user stories and doing all of that sort of stuff, now I'm like flying up, at 20,000 feet, and I'm able to really think about the future and become a lot more strategic and understand what are the market dynamics, and then be able to kind of bring those ideas down to the teams to develop. And I mean that's huge for me, because that's really where I thrive is in doing that work.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge impact that'll be ongoing for me, from the course.
Yeah, and kudos to you for you just taking the ideas, learning, and just applying them. You were so consistent and so awesome at not just like, where I've seen sometimes it's like theoretically, oh, this sounds great, but okay, what do I do now? How do I apply it? How do I see the impact right away? So, it's been a pleasure working with you, Stephen. And one last question from my side, which is, as other people, people watch this video, they're on my email list or they're going to be like considering PLB. What message would you give to them?
Yeah, I'd say, a lot of PMs are just kind of like a frog in a pond. And if you're just a frog in a pond, happy to kind of sit on a lily pad and coast around, then, that's fine. But if you want to accelerate your career, if you
Mm,
want to, discover your greatest strengths and also your weaknesses, but with discovering those, ways to ways to address them and ways to improve them. If you want to become a better influencer, if you want to really be, I'd say, be in charge of your career, then this is something you should absolutely be doing, because it will give you the right mindset to take control of your career, and also very, very practical tools, from nuts and bolts on communication styles and
mm.
tactics on influencing and communicating, all the way to self-discovery things, from journaling and that kind of stuff. So I would just say, what are you waiting for? Are you willing to bet on yourself? If you're willing to bet on yourself, then put your money on yourself and join the class. I think that you'll find, like I did, it's worth it.
Stephen, thank you so much for doing this. And, your experience would be super helpful for everybody who's watching it. And of course, you doing this means the world to me. So thank you again.
Sure. I'm happy to connect. If anyone has questions, hit me up on LinkedIn. Happy to chat. And sure, but I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Stephen. Take
Thanks.
care.